Hi everyone, Ricky Martin here. This is the Recruiter Ricky podcast, and I have the absolute honour of welcoming a guest that I've followed for a very long time, never met until today, but it is the chairman of the Reed Group, James Reed. Thanks for joining us, James.
Hello, Ricky. No, it's a real
It's been, why haven't we spoken? That's the first thing. Why have we never had a conversation before?
I don't know.
You've been avoiding me. You've been avoiding me.
It must be that. Yeah, I saw that you were described as Jon Snow on Game of Thrones, but I was Ned Stark.
Well, if we look at it like that, I would rather Jon Snow's ending than Ned Stark's, possibly.
Well, I'm not sure.
That's fair enough.
Starks ended up taking over the whole show.
That's true. There'll be a spin-off one day. But no, I've followed a lot of your content all the time, and we had a chat before here. But one thing I've loved about everything you've done is you've got such a together culture within your business, and it's great to see you traveling from office to office, celebrating the offices and the culture, and being really hands-on and visible. So that, for me, and I'll say this nicely, is a very aspirational thing to look to. And I think what would be great to find out from you today is a bit about your story, so how you've got to where you are today, and then hopefully finding out some questions about how we can help people get equipped even better than the books you've published, helping people to get jobs. So can you just talk me through, in a way, your career and how you got here today?
Sure. Well, Reed is a family business. So I grew up in a recruitment business. Literally, people say people don't choose to be recruiters,
Yeah.
but I really didn't. I grew up in a family business. And
Did you have a choice?
well, I did ultimately, but you don't have a choice who your parents are.
Yeah, that's true.
So I grew up in a household which was all about recruitment, and a perm in the 1960s in our house was not a head; it was a permanent placement. so I've been imbued with it, I suppose. But the thing that I particularly love about recruitment is it's all about people, and it's about changing people's lives. And I found that very motivational right from the very beginning, really. And seeing my father go to work, and I used to go with him, and seeing his enthusiasm for that was infectious.
And your father started the business in 1960?
Yeah, my father, Alec Reed, started in Hounslow in 1960 with £75.
And we're almost at the 60th year?
Yeah, and that's May the 7th next year. So he started on a Saturday, interestingly, Saturday morning.
Well, that's unusual, because a lot of recruiters, other than variations in some markets, it's a Monday to Friday role. Is that just the pure dedication to get it going?
Well, I think in the 60s people worked on Saturdays
Okay,
as well.
yeah,
So
of course.
probably the working week has changed. But the 7th of May next year is our 60th birthday, and we're going to be celebrating that. And my father, Alec Reed, is still alive and well and very engaged with the business, and he's 85 years old and still recruiting.
So if we asked your father the question, how impressed with what you've done with the business since you've become the chairman and you've taken it forward, do you think he would be telling you he could have done it better now, or would he be as impressed as I am?
He's quite a tough task. So I'll ask him. I think he has been kind enough to say he's pleased that it's grown and progressed as a family company. He's keen that the company should continue as a family company. Longevity is what
Of course.
And we have a very simple purpose at Reed. It's 4 words: improving lives through work. And that's what we're about. And as we grow, our strategy is also very simple: is to grow organically.
Yeah.
So we don't acquire other companies, and we grow organically. And I say to people, there are only 2 ways you can grow organically: by giving good service, so people recommend you,
Of course.
and coming up with new ideas and innovations. And that's what we seek to do. So as long as we're doing those things,
Yeah.
I hope he'll be a happy shareholder.
Well, if we consider how different recruitment is today compared to maybe in 1960 when Reed was founded, and I think what I've loved is how, when I've always watched Reed embrace the market as it is now, you've had a lot of your advertising campaigns talking about Love Mondays. I think it was a great way to get people inspired by the workforce. I believe, I might have this wrong, and if I have it wrong, you can correct me, but I believe you had an advertising campaign which is almost a swipe right campaign to get people to be applying to jobs through your platform. Would that be right?
Yeah, well, that's our recruiter app.
Which is the recruiter app.
So our app you swipe right if you like the job.
Which is a great twist on the whole social media and the dating. And
I'm told. We've been married for almost 30 years, but people like that. And our app is actually the best rated app on the App Store for recruitment.
Well,
so it's a simple, easy to use and functional app.
But I think what's really good about that, so I've been married for almost a decade myself, so the whole dating world these days is alien to me. But when I saw that, I speak quite a lot on how recruitment or an interview process is very much like dating. And these days you start with applying to a job through an app, You start applying for a date for an app as you do with the job. So the swipe right was a great twist on it. But I think one thing just to let everyone know that's listening is, for those, most people in the recruitment sector will know Reed, and those that are outside of that, I think most of you will know Reed. But if you don't, I think put it in context, Reed is the largest global family-owned recruitment brand. We're not just talking about a small firm with a couple of, we're talking about a multinational business that have a heritage of 60 years. And I think what would be great to understand more is more about what Reed do. What are the core markets? I know we've discussed the vision, which is improving life through work. And interestingly, for people to know, when I first emailed you and spoke to you about today, the first thing you said to me is, if we can feed into improving life through work, I'd like to have the conversation. And what's great is your vision is actually a lived vision. It's not just a statement, it's a real thing. So tell us more about Reed, just so everyone has the context.
Well, Reed began, as I mentioned, in Hounslow as a single recruitment office with one person working in it. And it grew from there through specialisation, really. So we were the first recruitment company really to specialise. So starting an accountancy specialism, or as it was called then, a computing specialism. So we became specialist recruiters very early on, and also we started doing temporary and contract work quite early on. And those two key building blocks are still really the basis of our business, specialist recruitment and temporary and contract business. But since then, we've also developed online. Yeah. So we were the first recruitment agency to have a website in the UK, and it's reed.co.uk, which started back in 1995. And I remember one of my colleagues coming into my office and saying he had an idea, and I said, Sean, what is it? If anyone wants my attention, I've got an idea, and I want to know what it is. And he said, I think we should have a website. And I remember saying, what's that? And if you think about it, trying to describe a website to someone who doesn't know what it is, it's actually quite a difficult thing to do. I mean, we all know what they are.
Of course. It's like saying to someone, imagine life without the internet now, isn't it? It's like the other way around.
He did a pretty good job, and so we thought, we have a saying in Reed, if the bus looks like it's going somewhere interesting, we want to be on it. Yeah. I mean, the joke is sometimes you end up walking home, but we thought that this website idea sounded interesting, so we just started in a small way. And then I went back to my business school reunion in America in 1995 in the spring, and 20% of my classmates were doing jobs that didn't exist 5 years before, all involving the internet. So I thought, this is going to be big. So we sort of invested in that and grew that, and it's now the biggest job site in the UK.
And I believe it has over 50 million registrations every year, which is an astronomical amount of people.
Well, applications coming through. Yeah. We get that, and we've got a database of 17 million UK-based workers. Yeah. And it's a huge engine for people looking for work and people looking for people. I mean, the principle being a crowd attracts it.
Of course.
So that's developed over time, and members of the team had good ideas to grow that. So we have an online recruitment business as well. And a lot of our customers are other recruiters. Yeah. So we want to help other recruiters find talent. Well,
good news is I'm one of those customers. I'm in the room, and we are licensed, and we work with reed.co.uk. So
I'm pleased to hear that.
Otherwise, I think I'd have got a sales pitch at the end, maybe.
We can help you. We can continue.
Yeah.
But I like to think of us as the recruiter's recruiter, because a lot of other people in the space come from different backgrounds. And they talk about disintermediating recruiters and putting us out of business or less pleasant things. And we don't want to do that at all. We want to help recruiters be successful. So I'd like Reed to be the recruiter's recruiter.
Good. And I think it's a great term. I'm going to close this podcast at the end of today on the recruiter's recruiter, which is James Reed and reed.co.uk all in the same sentence. So to get to where you are with the business and to grow the company hasn't been an easy feat throughout your career. But to do so, as any recruiter knows, you can't do that without exceptional talent around you and great people. Businesses are built on the foundation of people. How have you found the hiring of staff to work for you? Because as a recruiter, hiring for other people is one thing, but hiring for your own business to build your own company is a very different kettle of fish. Talk to me about how you found hiring for yourself.
Yeah, I've always said to people in our business, it doesn't matter where the office is. What matters is who's in it. And so, and I always say to our managers, your most important job is picking the team. That's what you've got to do, and that's what you've got to get right. And I've observed that some people are much better than others at picking people. Yeah. And developing people, and I really try and give them more opportunity to do that. But one of the best things we did years and years ago was start a graduate scheme, and we just take young raw graduates, quite a lot of them, like young racehorses.
Of course, yeah.
And we put them through a 3-year program, and those individuals, they're now running our business. So the people who came through that program 20 years ago are now running the business. So lots have left, lots have gone on to do other things. That's fine, but enough have come up and come through and learned that way. So I suppose we look for raw material in that sense, real people who have lots of energy, who are bright, who are talented and determined to sort of progress and succeed, and want to learn. That's what I learn.
And I guess using that as an example, it's exactly the model that I do within my firm. It is, you've got a culture, you've set a culture, you've got great people, and you either bring someone in with different cultures and 9 times out of 10 re-engineer them to recruit the way that you recruit, or you bring in the character that you want and you show them the way. And for us it's worked, but to know that you're doing that 60 people a year is fantastic. And we discussed it before the podcast, or you also have a business school within Reed which helps the further development of those graduates. Can you tell us a bit more about the business school?
Yeah, well, we have a business school which is in a village called Little Compton just outside Oxford. It's a country house, a manor house, and people in Reed love going there.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of our induction programs there, management development programs there, our graduate training schemes run from there. And it creates a sort of collegiate spirit about the company. People bump into each other years later and remember that they're on a course.
You're creating the alumni that universities give them within Reed.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that people particularly like about the company, that we invest a lot in them and in their training and learning and development. And I think that's really important, because I think we've all got to continue to learn and develop, and I think it's important that the company leads the way on that.
And I assume as a business with a heritage like yours, it can be, one, either very easy to say this is how we've always done it, or two, embrace people coming in, train the graduates and bring the new ideas through the company. How are you finding bringing in the new blood and the new thought process?
I'm always nervous when I hear someone say this is how we've always done it, because I think that's usually problematic.
Agreed, absolutely agreed.
I like to change things and improve things. So my starting point is, if you're beginning to feel sort of secure or safe in a situation, then that's when you should feel most unsafe, because you need to keep changing and growing and improving. So you asked the question, or it was in the notes, about what is an entrepreneur.
Correct, yeah.
And I think an entrepreneur has a sort of permanent state of dissatisfaction.
I like it.
And an entrepreneur is always looking to see how things can be improved or how problems can be solved. And I think if you bring an entrepreneurial mindset to whatever it is you're doing, you're not going to do it the same way you've always done it.
And how can you unlock that? Because I do agree. I think I almost use the term intrapreneurs, finding entrepreneurs that want to work for you and be on the journey with you, but can be independent and self-start enough to come up with those ideas and challenge the status quo. How do you encourage the entrepreneurial spirit within the Reed workforce?
Well, we have a scheme called Rethink.
Okay.
And we invite people to submit their ideas and suggestions, and we review all the ideas and suggestions, and the best ones get progressed, and they also get paid out. So the biggest amount of money we've paid is £100,000 for an idea.
100,000 to one idea.
And it was worth it.
Is the idea in the marketplace now with a commercial value?
It kind of is, because the idea was back in 2000, 1999, and it was to let anyone advertise their jobs on our website for free.
Okay.
And I was shocked by this idea, and I told the person who had the idea to get out of my office. My father was shocked by the idea, but to his credit, this guy Paul Rappacioli was very persistent.
Yeah.
And he said it's a good idea, because if we do that, everyone will use read.co.uk.
Correct.
And in the end, he persuaded us of the merits of the idea, and we suddenly realised it was in fact a brilliant idea, and we let everyone use our website for free, and that's how it sort of took off, because we became the destination for people who wanted to look for people who wanted to look for.
Ultimately, you had the talent pool to help people and the destination to go to.
So we called it Recruitment, and suddenly our website went from having 40,000 jobs on it to 300,000
Okay.
jobs on it, and it became the destination for anyone looking for work. And that was a brilliant idea. So that's why now other recruiters are our customers. So what I particularly liked about the idea, and I hadn't really thought about it in this way or realised it until many years afterwards, is it turned our competitors into customers.
Absolutely.
And that's how we became the recruiter's recruiter in a way.
Well, I was typical when I came into recruitment. I remember having a conversation with ex-employers saying, look, where do we need to be advertising to actually attract the best talent for what I did at the time purely was science recruitment? And the suggestion I made, well, what about read.co.uk? It conflict that Reed also had a scientific brand. I was like, oh, well, is there going to be a conflict? Am I going to be advertising, creating talent, and it goes into another part of their company? Completely the pessimistic wrong view to have, because that's completely siloed and independent. But I do agree, where I saw it as competition to start with, actually I was liberated to see it's a really good talent pool to help me.
Yeah, we totally respect the confidentiality of application of the candidates, and we have to do that, and it's the right thing to do. But the interesting thing is, even when we were giving it away free, a lot of people were nervous to start.
Of course.
And it was a sort of get to know you process, and then they started to use it. And it's interesting because then I went around the top 10 users and said, it's costing us $2 million a year to run this website. Well, you can contribute, 10%.
What did they say?
All 10 said no. so I decided to charge everyone.
Yeah.
so that's when we started doing the charging.
Yeah.
And people were happy to pay for it.
Yeah.
I know, because we use it, that we get a 13,000% ROI on the website. So the amount of money that our recruitment business has to pay Read Online, they're separate companies, is more than paid back. So I know that it's really useful and valuable to the recruiters who use it, and we want to make it more valuable and more useful and keep improving it.
I think everything that you shared, what's great to see is that you've grown a recruitment company, understand what recruiters need. You've created a tech within the recruitment space to attract other recruiters from competition to clients. And I think all this wealth of knowledge is put in a position now where you've published 3 best-selling books, all different books to help people arm themselves with writing a CV, interviewing, ultimately finding a job. Do you want me to talk me through the books and kind of how we've been able to help people with them?
Well, I've become aware that that we have a lot of knowledge and information as recruiters that we've built up, and I wanted to sort of make it more widely available to help people who are preparing to apply for jobs or going for job interviews to give the best of themselves. People will say, "Oh, well, I wasn't well prepared," or "I didn't know how to prepare," and that's their chief anxiety. So I thought, let's put our best thinking into these books, and the other thing we thought is, let's use our network. Let's really get help to do this. And I think asking for help is an important thing generally.
Yeah.
So we asked our clients, for instance, the first one was the interview book. We asked our clients,
which was Why You?
Yeah, Why You? 101 interview questions you'll never fear again. And we asked our clients, what's your favourite interview question? Well, thousands of employers who are interviewing all the time. What's your favourite interview question? And we got hundreds and hundreds of questions back. And we put the most common and the most interesting in the book. So they're real interview questions being asked by real interviewers right now, which is why it continues to be a bestseller. And I loved it. It was so interesting. So the most common interview question, which is the first question in the book, is tell me about yourself.
Tell me about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a big open field, and it's if you haven't prepared it, it's a difficult question.
It's a tough one.
So so getting that right up front and help. And the thesis of the book really is most interviews come down to these 15 questions. We call them the fatal 15. You just prepare those 15, you're going to become. Yeah. The meanest question in the book, and I hadn't thought of this, but I have been mean enough to use it since.
Go for it.
Is where does your boss think you are right now?
Okay.
And if someone's not taken the afternoon off work, that's a bit of that can fire a bullet into.
So if they've actually not taken a holiday and therefore used the parameters of what's acceptable and not just winged it on a working from home afternoon.
Well, right.
Yeah.
So that's an integrity sort of question.
Okay.
So and there are lots of other interesting questions in there, but it's I think so important to be prepared for an interview. An interview is a life-changing conversation. You're going to go and work somewhere different as a result, or not, as the case may be.
Yeah.
It's a life-changing conversation. How often do you have a life-changing conversation?
Other than this one right now. But it is true. But you also got to think sometimes people have been in a job. Traditionally, some people were in a job for life for 30 years and things have changed and they could be interviewing for the first time in 30 years and it's not just...
Yeah. Well, there are lots of reviews of this book on Amazon and I look at them every now and again, and the review that I liked the most was just three-letter words and 5 stars. And the three-letter words were, got the job.
Love it.
And that's why we did
Brilliant.
it. So that's what I like.
So if you could give one piece of advice, and I know there's lots of advice in the book and you can't put everything into one piece of advice for somebody who is applying to a job today, what would you say to them?
Well, really think about why you want the job. Is it right for you? I mean, an interview is a conversation between two people.
Yeah.
And it's important that the job is right for you. I mean, that you're applying for something you're going to want to commit your life and energy to for a sizable period of time.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of really thinking before you go to any interview to do anything in terms of applying for a job, is thinking about what's the right thing for me and where will my skills and energies be best deployed. I think that's so important.
And is it fair to say, and sometimes I've said this a few times on a few different social networks and had a bit of a backlash from some recruiters, but I always think the first conversation to have is, do I actually really want to leave my current business? Let's not waste the recruitment process's time, either the people hiring or the people supporting like a recruiter. Do I actually want to leave this job? Is there really something fundamentally wrong with this job? Or is it a case of it's Blue Monday and it's a bit wet and it's a bit cold and I had a great Christmas and I'm a bit bored?
Yeah, I think that's all tied up with, is it right for me to make this decision? And I think that's good advice. I mean, especially if you're in a paid job and you're
agreed.
doing okay.
Well, the irony is, I think a lot of people, and this is where James and I both agree here, recruitment is a lot more than just putting people into jobs. It's changing lives. It's improving their lives through their work. There's so many facets in what we do. And our focus isn't, let's just get you a job, therefore you should leave your role. And I think people think recruiters' mindset is, everyone wants to leave their job because they can make money. The reality is recruiters think very differently. We actually want the right person to get the right job and for the right reasons. What's your thoughts on the perception of the recruitment industry and maybe how that can be changed as time moves on?
Just on the changing jobs thing, I think for a lot of people for a long time it's been difficult to get a pay rise.
Yeah.
Real wages have been flat and it's financially tough for people. If you can get a job that gives you a good increase in your earnings, that is a way of securing yourself a pay rise.
Yeah.
And I say to our clients, if you want to get good people, you've got to pay good wages. You've got to pay a good premium to entice good people to move.
Of course, yeah.
So if there's a motive that is life changing in a positive way,
Yeah.
it might be financial as well as other.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then that's a fair enough, I think. But you were asking about why.
Yeah, the perception of recruitment, because recruiters want to help. We're not here for the wrong reason, and I really feel there's a lot that can be done with changing the image. Well, they like me, which is lucky, but no, but it's a professional service, and as a professional service, it's adding value, and I don't think people understand the value we add. And how do you think we can either change the sector?
I love recruitment, and I've worked in recruitment all my career, and I think that the thing that I particularly love about it is seeing the difference that we can make to the individuals we work with who move on into new jobs and new careers, and to the organisations we support. So I think recruitment is the fundamental business service, because all businesses are based on people.
Yeah.
And business leaders will tell you that the most important thing is to get the people side of it right, and to have a good team, and to make good decisions and invest wisely. But that all comes out of people.
Absolutely.
So the recruiter is right at the forefront of business and performs a vital business service. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Good. And I couldn't agree anymore. And if we look at that, we're saying recruitment, fundamentally, any business is built upon great people. And the competition to great people is getting tougher and tougher at the moment. So if I was a job seeker in the marketplace right now trying to stand out, what advice would you give, not just to me, to anyone, to say this is how you can give yourself the best chance of standing out in what is sometimes a crowded market?
Well, we put our best advice in these books.
Buy the books, go to Amazon.
I mean, the first thing is you need to have a good CV.
Yeah.
And the CV should make it very clear to the hirer why you're the best or a good candidate for this particular
What's
job.
the best way someone can do it practically? If we're sitting down now and writing that, what's the best way we can illustrate that in the CV?
Well, it depends very much on what stage you are in your career.
True.
You've just graduated and you've got quite a lot of experience. But we have on our website and in the book, there are templates for CVs that suit people at different stages of their career that are very easy to do. So I just did one for one of my sons who's sort of student, I suppose, but he wanted some extra work. He hasn't done much, but by the end of it, it looked great. Because it was a quick format, but it highlighted his work experience.
But not everyone's got James Reed as their dad to help them out there.
That's true. That's true. But we only use the advice in the book.
Okay.
So, and the template from the book. So it is actually all there. So
Yeah.
we have to try to put our best thinking into these books to in a way, the hardest part is to get them to pick up the book.
Correct.
My son included.
Well, let's look at it like that. We're asking people to take the CV seriously, to put a structure in it, whether it's through some template or reading some advice on how to do that. But let's just say you had 10 of the same CV with the same structure, the same ingredients that the book tells them. What would make one CV stand out over the other 9 to really make you say, I want to interview that person? What's the one thing you're looking for?
They're the same, are they? They're all different.
Correct.
So they all come over as different. But I think if the author of the CV is able to encapsulate concisely what they bring to the party in terms of their skills and abilities, that's really important. I think that it's clearly presented and it's easy to read because it's called the 7-second CV because people spend on average 7 seconds.
And we've moved on.
So you've got to get that message across. And then it's got to bring across some of your personality, your character, because in a way, that's what's going to attract someone and invite you to interview.
Okay.
Because the interview is about finding out more about you as a person.
And where would you, other than looking at the CV for tangible deliverables, achievements, and all the things in the roles itself, are there parts of the CV you're looking at, like hobbies and interests, for example, where you're looking to uncover more about the person?
Yeah, I always look at that section. Some people say they never look at it, but I'm always interested in that because I think it tells you quite a lot about the person. And lots of people think, I won't really worry about that section. But it's an opportunity to put something quite interesting in about it. I know, for instance, that you used to be a wrestler.
I did, yeah. And that's right in there in the hobbies and interests.
I think that's really interesting because that's the sort of conversation that you could have with a candidate that if they didn't put it in, you wouldn't know.
No.
And it helps you learn more about them because an interview is a conversation and you're trying to learn as much about the person as you can because you're really trying to find out who they are.
Absolutely. I think the reality is we work with people, we don't work with the CV. The CV will get you the interview. The person at the interview we're going to hire, and that's who we work, so show us your personality.
Yeah, I call the interview a life-changing conversation. The CV is a life-changing document.
Yeah.
Its sole function is to get you in front of people, so get you the interview. But if it gets you an interview with someone who might then offer you a fantastic job, that's a document you should put some effort into.
Would you recommend, if it's got them that life-changing job, that they frame it and be proud of it and preach that? Yeah, it's a bit. I had neither. I don't know where that come from. Yeah.
You should, but the other thing is it should keep evolving.
Of course.
So once you get a new job, there's no harm thinking about doing things that will improve your CV.
Yeah. I think sometimes we're in a market where sometimes people are moving into roles to gain new skills for not necessarily to get the perfect job now, but maybe get the perfect job in 3 or 4 jobs' time, because sometimes you need to build skills before you get there, and not every job is a job for life. I think that's.
I was saying, it's a job, a better job, a career.
Yeah.
So you work your way up towards where you want to go.
And I think a lot of people who are coming into the job market for the first time, I think it is that reality. You're building your way, you're on the pathway to move there. You're not going to get that job at Facebook that you all want tomorrow morning. It might take you a while to get there, and you might find something better in the meanwhile.
Oh, that's right. Well, my next book, Ricky, which isn't out yet, but it's coming out in January, is called Life's Work, 12 Proven Ways to Fast Track Your Career. And thinking like that, in terms of your goals and objectives, is one of the
Good.
ways that you can do that.
Well, you can quote me on that one. I'm only joking. It's already in there. Okay. In other words, no. No, that's... Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up now, and we're going to do some quick fire questions in a moment. But if I was to ask if there's any final bits of advice or words you wanted to share to any of our listeners, what that could be to help them find the right job?
So your listeners are primarily job seekers or recruiters?
It's going to be a mixture of anybody that's thinking of employability.
Right. Well, I think when you're thinking about a job, it's really important to think about yourself. One of my proven ways of fast-tracking a career is be selfish. Be sustainably selfish. So you're finding something you enjoy that you will feel energized and want to get up in the morning to do. So that's why I talk about Love Monday.
Of course.
I want to be here because I'm making a contribution. I'm fulfilled at work and I'm engaged. So that's really important. And then make a plan. Really make sure that you know where you want to apply, what sort of things you want to look for, and use the resources at your disposal. It might be these books, or it might be things online, to really make sure you have a really good CV and that you're really well prepared when you go for the interview.
Thank you.
It's so easy to find out about people these days. You can find out about the companies you're applying to, you can find out the people you're going to be meeting. Be well prepared.
There was a really interesting comment in your YU book, and I really, it was early on in the book, it was looking at dress code. and it was giving people advice what to wear to the interview, which is always wear one level above what you think people will be wearing, so you're always informed. But if you think about what to wear day to day, there's a really interesting comment that you said that if you really can't get the answers from the internet and from people, why didn't you spend the lunchtime walking around that building or walk past the building or something and just see what the people are wearing coming in and out? If you're thinking about doing preparation, that is a great example of prepare and actually go above and beyond to figure out the answers.
Yeah, it's a minefield these days. Our Foreman is an organisation. I mean, they're all sort of different types of dress codes. So it's a good idea to go and check it out.
Yeah.
Just have a look.
That's the first time I'd ever heard someone give that practical advice, which is just walk to the building and have a look. Ultimately, is the advice in a more articulate way, is how the book explained it.
If you want to find out what's going on, go there.
Yeah.
That's good advice in business.
Well, that will be the last bit of advice. If you want to go for it, go for it. And the last question I'll ask you, I know everyone at Reading Yourself love Mondays, but do you love Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays as well?
I love every day.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, James. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you.